Well, hello, folks. Welcome back to another edition of My Car Guru. I'm trying to make a decision today. The weather is not looking good for my son's memorial golf tournament on Thursday. And this will be the second time that we have had to cancel this thing. It's been very successful. We raise money for adult daycare services in Greenville. The outfit is called Alps, and Adult Day Services is what it's called. And it's for people, it's for people who, they're not bad enough to go into a nursing home. They just need something to do. They're at home, maybe alone, or could be a husband and wife, somebody in the military. A lot of veterans come and use Alps. And they are brought there by family members or caregivers, and they drop them off, and they just have fun all day, hopefully. And they're fed, and they're taken care of. And typically their insurance, either Medicare or military benefits, takes care of the cost. So it's a good thing. But we basically don't cover all the cost with that, so that's why we raise money for them. I was on the board of directors for a while with my wife, and we really enjoyed getting this thing started, and they were having a hard time raising funds, so we decided to do this golf tournament. I mentioned that earlier. So anyway, that's what the golf tournament is for, but we might not get to have it again this week because of the terrible weather that we're facing. And then on Saturday, we're supposed to have our second Saturday Cars and Coffee, and that's not looking real promising either. My yard could use it. Saturday's a little bit better. Right now it's 54% chance of rain, but Thursday it's 80%. So we're probably going to pass on that and reschedule again. So today is a continuation of yesterday's program. So if you didn't listen to yesterday's program, you can go grab the podcast and listen to it. That would be my recommendation because we covered some of the most commonly asked questions. We've got to dip into the mailbag occasionally to review some of this stuff that I get as far as emails. It's really not a mailbag. It's my computer. It's my inbox. Okay, so here we are. And where is that, you ask? Well, we're talking TARS. So I had a guy, he's a friend. He's had this, let's see, what is it? It's a Honda S2000. And he's had it since it was new. It's a 2000 model or a 1999 model. Can't remember which. But it's only got 14,000 miles on it. It's got the original tires on it. Does he need new tires? Well, Lenny, the tread looks fine. Yeah, it's got plenty of tread. It's only got 14,000 miles on it. But those tires are dangerous. Why? Because tires age, folks. Just like we do. 6 to 10 years, and really 10 years is a long time for a set of tires. I'm going to call it 7 years. That's how long your tires need to stay on your car, even if they're not worn out. Why is that, Leonard? Well, it's simple. Rubber degrades over time. Sidewalls and treads harden and crack. It's what you can't see that I'm really worried about. The structural integrity inside of the tire itself weakens. It can lead to tread separation and blowouts. So when to replace your tires? If they're older than 6 years, you need to really, really think about it. Look for visible cracking, and you have to really get close to the tires. You might even need a magnifying glass. But if you see a bunch of cracks in your tires, it's time for them to be replaced. It'd be in the sidewall, could be in the tread. You could also have flat spots in the tires because the car's been sitting for a long time and they just develop flat spots. Have you ever pulled it out of the driveway and all of a sudden you're going down the road and it's just shaking back and forth? But eventually the tires warm up and those flat spots tend to kind of go away. We see this on new cars all the time. If you're out thinking about buying a new car and you test drive one right off the lot, more than likely, when you get out on the road, it's going to vibrate a little bit. I can't tell you how many times, millions of times, probably not, that I have customers said, boy, these tires are shaking, or this steering wheel's shaking. I said, well, it's just flat spots on the tires. That happens when they sit on the lot for just a little while. It can happen even if it sits on the lot for a week or a month. Oh, okay. And they get over it. But some people, if they're going to test drive by themselves, they'll think, man, we don't want this car. It's already vibrating. My old car vibrates. I don't need another one that does it. Well, if your old car is vibrating, it's because of flat spots, more than likely. They could also have a bulging sidewall. If you see this, just, it's not always easy to see. It's easy to feel, though. I know you're going to get your hands dirty, but just rub your hand around the sidewall, and if you feel it bulging out anywhere on the sidewall, replace that tire. Especially, if it's under 7 years old, just replace that tire. Do you have to replace all of them? Well, no, not necessarily, but you're going to be replacing all of them in a year or so anyway, so you might as well. Yeah, but that costs money. Yeah, it does. If you go to one of these used tire stores, they sell used tires. Those people are looking at those treads from like 10 feet. They're not looking for cracks. They're just wanting to sell a complete set of tires for $100. That's the wrong move, folks. You don't do that. If you get all of a sudden you start getting some unusual vibration that wasn't there before, could be a first sign of a tread separation. The only real reason a tire will just start vibrating all of a sudden, where your steering wheel is shaking, or you feel it like in the seat of your pants. You just feel that's the rear tires. The steering wheel will be the front tires. If you feel that all of a sudden, it's probably because it's thrown a weight, okay? There's these little weights that they put on the tires to balance them because, wheels and tires are not perfectly made. I don't care if they are Michelin and they are aluminum wheels. Occasionally you curb the wheels and you put a dent in it, or your tire just is starting to fail. You need to replace it. If you feel that vibration and you got all your weights, all of them are there, then it's got an internal problem. You need to get it checked. Okay, let's take our first break. I'll be back in just uno momento. Okay, at My Car Guru offices here at Gateway Ford and Gateway Nissan in Greenville, Tennessee. These are the corporate offices for My Car Guru. I'm sitting in it right this minute, staring at my 2 Apple computers. This is where the work is done. Well, I have a nice microphone, a Sterling audio microphone, and a Focusrite preamp. That's all it takes. If you have those things, you can do a podcast. So let's see, what was the other question I wanted to go over? Oh, yeah. This happens a lot as a guru. You get a lot of people that have been taken advantage of calling you, saying, what can I do? I feel like I paid too much. And I said, well, bring me the paperwork. And when they do, it normally takes a couple days for somebody. They'll come down from Johnson City or Bristol, and then the rest of the time they'll just send me an email or they'll call because I put my number on here. But they've been taken advantage of. It's too late, okay? The deal has been done. It takes sometimes a couple days or a week for it to percolate around in their head a little bit, and they start thinking about that monthly payment and the 84 months that they financed it. And then they start thinking about, their payment's $795, but the ad said $299 a month. Something's not right here, Eunice. And so they sit down around the table, they decipher, what is all this extra stuff? And, did we really know about this? Well, you signed the paperwork. See, that's too much time to elapse. You need to get home and look at that paperwork. I know you don't want to. You're still excited about the car, but you need to look at the paperwork no more than a couple days later. Just analyze it. Make sure you know what you bought. Well, what if you got taken advantage of? What if you find out, you go look on the website, and I've had this happen before. Customer buys a car, pays a certain price for it. They look when they get home online, and the price online was cheaper. Did you get taken advantage of? You sure did. You need to screenshot that sucker and then call the dealership. Here's what I'll promise you. They'll adjust the price, because if they don't, they're in serious doo-doo. You can't ignore the disclaimer. You got to scroll down. look at that disclaimer, screenshot that as well. And if it doesn't add up to the price you paid, then you got to do something about it. What do? Get your facts together. Get an appointment with the general manager or the dealer. If you can reach them, I know that's a problem in some dealerships. And then go in and see them, and you've got all your facts. And don't get emotional. Be very professional and businesslike. Be nice. Don't yell. Don't scream. You won't get anywhere. Don't threaten a lawsuit, because what they'll do is they'll have you leave their office. A lot of them will. Most won't. I mean, some of the good ones won't. They'll sit down with you and say, listen, there's no need for that. Let's see what we can work out for you. I do see that there's a difference in this price. I apologize for that. You know, I'm the dealer or I'm the general manager, and I've got somebody else that prices the cars online, and this is just a failure of communication. Let's see what we can do to make this right. All you say then is thank you. Thank you for taking the time to look at this and for doing the right thing. The right thing is what you need to say. They know what the right thing is. They may not want to admit it, but they do know, because they've got families. They probably go to church, and they know that what was done to you was not right. So you just need to point it out, but just please don't go in screaming and yelling. Okay, what else? Well, this kind of goes back to that question. Is buying a car online safer than buying it in person? It absolutely is not. Now, if you're buying a car online from, let's say, CarMax or Carvana, that's the online thing, where they'll actually deliver it to your driveway. Have you seen those trucks running around? They have a car on the back of it. It's like a little flat cab truck, and it has a flat bed or an angled bed, and it's got a car on the back of it. It might be a Hyundai or a Honda or whatever. But somebody has ordered that vehicle online from Carvana and never seen it in person. They've seen pictures of it. They've never driven it. They've never smelled it. And that's important. Are you sensitive to cigarette smoke? Can you smell it in a car of a smoker? I sure can. I'd hate to drive around with a car that smelled like cigarette smoke all the time. If it was a rental car, probably had some smokers in it. Probably had a lot of things done in it. But, yeah, I'm not buying a car that I haven't seen in person or driven unless there's some type of a guarantee attached to it. And, of course, Carvana says, if you don't like it, send it back. Yeah, right. Try that. Go through that process and see what that's like. I've talked to some people that they got some nightmare stories about trying to send cars back. But if you had just bought it the right way and gone to a dealership and bought it, you wouldn't have worried about that. So anyway, a lot of people think that's hazardous to their health as well. And it is in some cases. But yeah, buying a car online, it's not safer than buying in person, because you are subject to misrepresentation. That sometimes they'll let you pull a Carfax or something like that. But if you're buying it from AutoTrader, Cars.com, you know where those cars are? They're sitting on dealer lots. That's dealer advertising. That's just another way for a dealer to advertise their inventory, is to put it on Car Gurus, not to be confused with My Car Guru. But, all these other websites, Edmunds, they're all just advertising platforms, like the old classified ads we used to use in the car business in the newspaper. Those are non-existent unless you're having a yard sale or something. So, you've got to be able to get a good idea about the history of this car, accident history, flood or frame damage, mechanical issues. You can't find out if a car has bouncy tires unless you test drive it. What if you unload that car off of that Carvana truck and you take it down the road and it stinks and the tires are vibrating and you hear a knock in the engine? Look what you got to do now. All you wanted to do was have a simplified buying process and enjoy your day and be excited about a car. And it comes, and it's not the way it was represented. This can happen easily online. Another thing that can happen is you go to the dealership that you buy online, and the game changes. The numbers change. And you drive the car, same problem, same kind of issues. It doesn't drive right. It's not the right color. It's obviously been hitting the right front fender. It's got stars in the windshield. It smells funny. These are things that can happen with a new car or a used car dealer as well. I mean, if I want to buy a car, I'm going to go to a dealership and the car's right there. And I can test drive it. And I can check it out really good. And I can have them have it inspected. I can call the previous owner. To me, that's the safe way if I'm not dealing with a bunch of yahoos. Number 2, scams and frauds. I got burned on a fake listing indirectly one time. This guy had a motorhome for sale. My sales manager was wanting to buy it. And I was on vacation, and he asked my office manager if he's going to buy it. His dad's going to buy it, quite frankly. They're buying it together. It's a big motorhome, but it was a ridiculously low price. And so anyway, he thought it was a great deal. So he had my office manager wire the money to a bank in Atlanta for this motorhome. Where was the motorhome? There was no motorhome. There was a picture of one, and we tracked it down and had a license plate on it from the picture. It was in Phoenix, Arizona. It was just some picture that this scammer collected and pretended like he had it. And so all you had to do is send him the $32,000, which was way too cheap for a diesel pusher motorhome. My sales manager should have known better. But on the day that it was supposed to show up at the dealership, guess what? It didn't. I was still on vacation. I came back, and my office manager says, "Lenny, we have a problem." Well, we did, because my insurance company would not cover that. They called that a self-inflicted wound. We sent the money out, and we got scammed. If they'd come into the dealership and stolen the money instead of stealing it that way, then we would have had coverage. So scams and frauds are out there. Another guy that I know went all the way to Washington, D.C. to buy a Ford Thunderbird, and he went to pick it up, and there's no dealership there, and he had wired the money to them. Does that sound safe to you? Doesn't to me. If you see an unusually low price, way lower than everybody else, there's a problem. There's a reason for that, because most dealers price their vehicles based on competitive analysis of the market. They know that they have to price their car within a certain range so that they can get interest, but they don't want to price it too low because they want to make a profit. What else? Ask the seller. If the seller asks for wire transfers, deposits, those types of things. Don't ever pay a deposit on a car that you haven't seen unless you have all the documentation. You've seen a front and back of a title. You have checked out the business from a Better Business Bureau standpoint. You make sure they are a dealer, that they truly exist. That's important. I want to buy something from somebody that exists. And again, online buying, you don't have the opportunity to test drive or inspect, to do the drive test, the smell test, the fit test. What if it's just uncomfortable? Or you can't see out of it? I mean, we're not buying refrigerators here, folks. It's not a new gas grill. It's a car. We're going to be living in that thing. We're going to be driving it. Our family's going to be riding in it. We want to be comfortable, and we want to make sure that it fits, and that's why a test drive is so important. Okay, I'll take my last break. I'll be back in just 1 minute. One of the biggest problems I see with buying something online from somebody that's way off, like they're out of state, and we have a car shipped in or whatever, the lack of post-sale support to me is an issue. That's why I like supporting the local dealer. If I want to buy a Honda, I'm going to the local Honda dealer. If he's within 30, 40 miles, I'm good with that. Just like in Greenville, we don't have that many car dealers. We've got 3, but there's not all the brands. We don't have a Toyota and a Hyundai and all that stuff. So if I'm buying a Hyundai, I'm going to try to buy it from the local guy, unless I know that he's a crook. And then I might go to Knoxville. Knoxville's not too far away, but, to go to Jacksonville, Florida, have it shipped in, or, some far-off place. There were people that even go into Idaho and buying vehicles from around here because some dealer had a really big volume story, and he was saving people a couple $1,000s. That's a lot if it's real. But if it's not real, then look what a pain it is. You know, do you want to fly out to Idaho and drive a car back? That does sound like fun. That could be a cool adventure, but could also be a disaster because you don't know what you're getting. You haven't seen it. You don't know the people. There is value in relationship, and some people don't put much value on that anymore for some reason or another. I wish my computer would stop making those ding noises all the time. Can you put them on silent? Maybe. Because sometimes I will make a point about something and then all of a sudden it go ding, like the light bulb just went off. I just don't want you to think that's something happening in your head. And then finally, the question I get a lot are extended warranties worth the money? You know, it depends on what you have to pay for it and what the coverage is. Too many people just look at the cost, though. I can get a warranty for $1,500. What does it cover? Well, I don't know. You know, is it a powertrain warranty? Does it just cover the engine and the transmission? Or does it cover bumper to bumper, which nothing does? You know, they call them bumper to bumper warranties. Doesn't cover the bumpers. Doesn't cover any of the trim items. Like if a molding falls off, of course, cars don't have moldings much anymore, but trim around the windows, you know, if you're adjusting your mirror and it comes off in your hand, none of that stuff's covered. The seats, you know, the fabric, any of the dash trim, knobs, switches, that type of stuff, most of that is not covered by an extended service contract. It's just not. So the type of warranty that you need to buy is basically a policy that tells you what it excludes, not what it includes. Tell the people that are selling you a warranty, give me a list of the things that are not covered. Don't tell me everything that's covered because I can't identify what's not there, what's not on the list. You know, there are thousands of parts on a car. Tell me what's not covered. And then I know that everything else is covered. Isn't that simple? So lots of times that'll be the most expensive warranty they sell, but that's okay. Because it's a lot of that electronic stuff that can go bad. We've talked about BMW headlights till I'm blue in the face, you know, $3,500 per side. It's not just BMW, it's every manufacturer. All this LED stuff, we quoted a mirror to a guy the other day. A right-hand passenger side mirror on a Lincoln. And because it's heated, and because it has the blind spot monitoring and a camera built into it, it's $1,600 for a mirror. That's why you need an extended warranty, and it's not just for the engine and the transmission. Well, thanks for listening to this edition of My Car Guru. Again, my job here is to help you make good decisions buying, selling, trading, servicing cars. There's so many issues around your car life that I think I can help you with. If you have a question, let me know. 423-552-2020. I'm serious. Send me a text message. I'll help you. Or you can send me an email to LennyLawson2020 @gmail.com. And I'll see you on the next edition of My Car Guru.